The villagers never heard it coming. One moment, they were laughing, going about their morning. The next, screams, blood, and chaos. In just 2 minutes, a starving polar bear tore through the village, leaving 9 people dead before vanishing into the fog. This wasn't a random attack. It was desperation unleashed. And what happened that day is a chilling warning of what's to come. Stay with me, because this is a story you won't forget. The cold was nothing new for the people of this small village in northern Greenland. They had lived with snow, wind, and freezing temperatures their whole lives. But on September 6, 2024, the cold wasn't what they feared. That day began like any other. The sun was weak behind thick clouds, and a heavy fog rolled over the land. Visibility dropped, and everything beyond a few feet disappeared into the mist. The villagers thought nothing of it. Fog was common this time of year. But hidden inside that fog, something deadly was waiting. A polar bear, thin from hunger, had been watching the village from a distance for days. Normally, polar bears hunted far from human settlements, living on sea ice where they caught seals for food. But that year, the ice had melted too soon. The bear couldn't hunt like it used to, and it hadn't eaten in weeks. Starvation pushed it closer to humans, closer to danger, for both the bear and the people. At first, the signs were easy to ignore. A few large paw prints near the edge of the village, some missing fish from nets by the shore, a few dogs barking wildly at night. The villagers noticed, but they were used to living near wild animals. Encounters with polar bears happened sometimes, but this wasn't a normal bear. This was a creature on the edge of death, driven by hunger so deep, it no longer cared about the danger humans posed. At 9 a.m., villagers gathered in the main square for their weekly market. Families set up small stalls, children played in the snow, and the smell of fresh cooked food filled the air. It was supposed to be a peaceful morning. But the bear smelled the food too. It moved through the fog silently, its large body blending into the snow and mist. It was thin, its ribs clearly visible under its fur. Its eyes were hollow and desperate. This bear wasn't just hungry, it was dying, and it would do anything to survive. At 9:14 a.m., it reached the village's edge. No one noticed the massive shadow moving closer. People were busy, laughing and talking. For a brief moment, everything was calm. Then the bear attacked. The first victim was a fisherman setting up his stall. The bear lunged from the fog without any sound. Before the man could even turn around, the bear's heavy paw struck him down, breaking his skull instantly. He died before his body hit the ground. Panic hit the square like a wave. People screamed and ran, scattering in every direction, but the bear was too fast. Hunger had made it reckless and more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. A mother tried to grab her small child and run, but the bear was already too close. Its jaws snapped down on her neck, crushing her instantly. Her child's terrified cries echoed through the square as the bear moved on, attacking without pause. In less than a minute, 4 people were dead. The villagers weren't ready. There were no guns nearby, no alarms to warn anyone of the attack, just panic, fear, and chaos. 3 men tried to fight back with whatever they could find, shovels, sticks, even their bare hands. But this was no match for the bear's raw power. The first man swung a shovel at the bear's head. The blow landed, but it was weak against the bear's thick fur and muscle. The bear turned, its eyes locked on him, and charged. One heavy paw sent the man flying, his ribs crushed under the force. Another man rushed forward with a metal rod, shouting to distract the beast. The bear didn't hesitate. It lunged and sank its teeth deep into his leg, shaking him like a rag doll before throwing him aside like nothing. The villagers tried everything to fight back, but it wasn't enough. In 2 minutes, 9 people were dead. Parents, children, elders, and just as suddenly as it had appeared, the bear disappeared back into the fog. The survivors were left in shock, staring at the blood-stained snow. The square, once filled with laughter, had turned into a nightmare of broken bodies and silence. Help was hours away, and the worst part? No one knew if the bear was gone for good, or if it would return, still hungry, still desperate. The air was thick with fear and silence. The polar bear had vanished into the fog as quickly as it had appeared, but the damage was done. 9 people were dead. Their bodies lay scattered across the snow, the bright red of their blood staining the pure white landscape. Survivors stood frozen, too shocked to speak, too terrified to move. The attack had lasted only 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, and everything had changed. The villagers knew help wouldn't arrive quickly. They were isolated, far from any major city. The nearest rescue team was hours away, and even then, the thick fog made flying impossible. They were alone. But the fear wasn't just about the dead. The survivors knew the bear was still out there, hiding in the mist, maybe watching, maybe waiting to strike again. The remaining villagers gathered what little they had to defend themselves. Hunting rifles were brought out from storage, but most people here weren't trained to fight something as powerful as a polar bear. A small group of men and women, their faces hard with fear and determination, formed a watch team. They knew they had to be ready if the bear came back. Some climbed onto rooftops to keep watch from above, rifles in hand, while others worked to help the injured. The wounded lay in homes and storage huts, wrapped in blankets, bleeding quietly while their friends tried to stop the pain. But deep down, everyone knew that if the bear returned, they wouldn't stand a chance. Hours passed. The fog remained thick, covering the land like a heavy blanket. Every sound, every creak of wood or gust of wind, made the survivors flinch, fearing the bear's return. But the bear never came back. When the rescue team finally arrived by helicopter later that evening, they found a village in ruins. Bodies were lined up in the square, covered in sheets. The survivors were exhausted, their eyes hollow, their hands shaking from fear and grief. The rescue team searched the area for any sign of the bear, but found nothing. No fresh tracks, no blood trails. It had vanished back into the wild, as silent as it had appeared. Wildlife experts later explained what had driven the bear to attack. The reason wasn't hatred or aggression, it was starvation. The sea ice, which polar bears depend on to hunt seals, had melted earlier that year due to rising global temperatures. With no ice to hunt from, the bear had no food left. Starvation made it desperate enough to attack humans, something polar bears rarely do unless they're on the brink of death. This wasn't nature's cruelty. This was survival. The scars of that day will never fade for the people who survived. Every footstep in the snow, every shift of the wind, now carries the memory of that attack. The village held funerals for the 9 people who lost their lives. Parents buried children. Friends mourned friends. The tight-knit community had been shattered by something no one could have expected. And now, every time the fog rolls in, fear returns with it. Because in places like this, far from the rest of the world, survival isn't just about braving the cold or finding food. It's about understanding that out here, nature always wins. And next time, it might not wait until hunger drives it to kill.